Good morning. For the record, my name is Patty Charlton, and I'm the Interim Chancellor of the Nevada System of Higher Education. I am pleased to call to order this meeting of the Task Force on Power-Based Violence at Institutions of Higher Education. We do have some guests with us this morning, and I believe that Senator Melanie Scheibel is with us this morning. And good morning.
Good morning. Sorry, I'm driving, so I don't have my camera on, but thank you so much for including me.
No problem. We're happy to have you with us today. And then not sure if also Assemblywoman Selena Torres, I don't see that she has joined us, but she may be joining us at some point during our meeting today. We really appreciate their efforts as they spearheaded to have this task force created during the last legislative session, as well as leading the efforts to create its predecessor, which was the Task Force on Sexual Misconduct at Institutions of Higher Education. For those in the public, I wanted to just provide some information about how you might be able to provide public comment in a call-in mode. So members of the public may provide public comment via telephone, and you can do that by calling the number 669-900-9128 and entering meeting ID 910-0378-4066. And the passcode, very Las Vegas, I would say in Nevada, 777777. Really want to also give a huge appreciation to our Nevada System of Higher Education System Computing Services team for providing all of the logistics and technical support today. So at this time, I'm going to ask Deputy General Counsel Linda King to please do roll call so that we can ensure that we have a quorum. Thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor Charlton. Linda King for the record. Roll call. Miss Lisa Allison.
Present.
Dr. Kavita Batra.
Present.
Chancellor Charlton.
Present.
Dr. Stephanie Coleman. Present. Miss Erin Frock. Dr. Tabor Griswold.
Present.
Dr. Elizabeth Gunn.
Present.
Miss Christine Hall. Mr. Kevin Leon Martinez. Mr. Sean Mabanta.
Present.
Mr. James Martinez. I am present as his designee from the Office of General Counsel. Dr. Allison Netsky. Miss Michelle Sposito. Chancellor, you have a quorum?
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So with that, we will move to public comment, which is our first agenda item. Members of the public are invited to provide public comment to the task force. Comments may be prohibited if the content of that comment is a topic that is not relevant to or within the authority of the task force, or if the content is willfully disruptive of the meeting by being irrelevant, repetitious, slanderous, offensive, inflammatory, irrational, or amounting to personal attacks, or interfering with the rights of other speakers. As a reminder, during this agenda item, no action may be taken on any matter that is raised until the matter is included on an agenda as an item in which action may be taken. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person. Persons providing public comment are asked to begin by stating their name and spelling their last name for the record. First, is there any public comment in Reno?
There is no public comment in Reno.
Thank you. Seeing no public comment in Las Vegas. Okay. SCS, are there any comment or any callers on the public comment call-in number?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you. And is there any public comment through the online portal? Okay, seeing none. That concludes our public comment at this time. So moving on to agenda item number 2, the Chancellor's remarks. I first want to again just thank everyone for joining us this morning. We know that this was a difficult meeting to get scheduled, but just really appreciate your patience. Just by a little bit of context, in the last legislative session, Assembly Bill 245 created the Task Force on Power-Based Violence at Institutions of Higher Education, which renamed the Task Force on Sexual Misconduct, which was originally created by Senate Bill 347 as part of the 81st legislative session. This was in response to call from NSHE students seeking more transparency and additional input into existing sexual misconduct measures at our NSHE campuses. Under the new law, the scope and duties of the task force have been expanded to address power-based violence at NSHE institutions. The primary duties of this task force include the development and administering a climate survey on power-based violence at institutions within the Nevada system of higher education. A survey was administered during the fall semester of 2023, and the task force is going to hear more information about that status a little later in this morning's meeting. The task force will also review the results of any power-based violence climate survey administered at any institution within the system, as well as to examine our current procedures and protocols for preventing, intervening in, or responding to instances of power-based violence that are used at our NSHE institutions. The task force is also going to identify possible gaps in services that are available for victims of power-based violence at our institutions within the system. We're also going to be examining the correlation between social groups, campus life, and the incidence of power-based violence on the campus of each of our institutions within the system. We're going to provide recommendations to the Board of Regents on how to address power-based violence at our Nevada system of higher education institutions. And not later than August 1st of each odd-numbered year, we're going to submit to the Joint Interim Standing Committee on Education a written report summarizing the findings of the task force, the data collected from responses to any climate survey, and recommendations regarding the prevention of intervention in or response to incidents of power-based violence occurring at our Nevada system of higher education institutions. So that's a lot for this group, but I know that we're all excited to get going. As the interim chancellor, I am very privileged to serve as a member of this task force with you, and I look forward to our collaborative work that we will be carrying out, which is very vital to our Nevada system of higher education students and our campuses. And then at this time, I would like to provide an opportunity for Senator Melanie Scheibel to allow some brief remarks, if you might have them. And again, we want to thank you for your work in spearheading this effort of the Power-Based Violence Task Force. Senator Scheibel?
Well, thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to speak. And again, I apologize. I'm driving, so I can't turn my camera on, but this really has been a labor of love to develop this task force and to refine its mission in the last legislative session. And as you mentioned in your comments, Chancellor, this is really born out of students' requests and out of what students were calling for on campus, seeking to ensure that they have a safe learning environment. And so as much as we can be responsive to them, I'm excited to be, invited to join you. I am here to help. I am happy to provide you with any support or resources that I can, and look forward to seeing all of the good work that the task force is going to do.
Senator, thank you so very much. And so we'll be glad to have you join us throughout our work as we move forward. So at this time, I'd like to provide an opportunity for the task force under agenda item 3 to have introductions. And so our task force is comprised of a significant number of members regarding who have a different specialty area. So there are some that are new members who have not previously had an opportunity to meet each other. So I'd like to take a moment for us all to introduce ourselves. And I'm going to just move through the roster if that's okay. And if you could just please state your name for the record and then share any brief opening remarks that you might have. So Deputy Counsel King, I know you are here on behalf of General Counsel Martinez. Let's start with you.
Sure. I'm Linda King, Associate General Counsel for System Administration. And our office serves as one of the members, the Chief General Counsel, one of the members of the task force, and was a prior membership role on the task force for sexual misconduct. So I am here today on behalf of Mr. Martinez as his designee. He was unable to join.
Thank you so much. And so I can just move forward with those that are in attendance. Yeah. Okay. All right. Leisha Allison, please.
For the record, this is Leisha Allison. I'm a senator from Truckee-Unos Community College, and I'm really excited to be a part of the task force.
Thank you so much. Dr. Tabor Griswold, please.
Good morning. I work for the UNR Reno, the UNR School of Medicine. I'm the co-director of the Nevada Healthcare Workforce Research Center, and I have been involved in multiple surveys. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dr. Kavita Batra.
Thank you. This is Dr. Kavita Batra for records. I'm assistant professor and senior statistician with the Kerkorian School of Medicine at UNLV, and I'm excited to be a part of this group. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dr. Elizabeth Gunn.
Good morning, Elizabeth Gunn for the record. I am Dean of the School of Liberal Arts, Sciences, and Business at Nevada State University, and I have been with the task force since its inception, and I've had the honor of serving as chair for part of its duration. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dr. Sean, or Mr. Sean Mabanta.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sean Mabanta, for the record. I'm a campus victim advocate at both TMCC and WNC. And I'm so very excited to see all of us coming together and tackling this very important issue.
Thank you so much. And Dr. Stephanie Coleman.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Stephanie Coleman, Vice President of Student Affairs with Nevada State University. I'm a former Title IX investigator from Chicago, and the opportunity to be a part of this group and continue with that work is something that I'm pretty passionate about, and thank you for having me.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We have a really wealth of experience and individuals participating in the task force. We're so grateful. Just for the record also, we do have 3 vacancies currently as part of this task force, and we anticipate that the Board of Regents will appoint individuals in to fill those vacant spots at their special meeting on January 19th, 2024. And again, thank you for all providing your introductions, and I know that I speak on behalf of all of you that we look forward to getting to know each other better and serving on this task force together. So at this time, I'm going to move to agenda item number 4, which is an election of the officers, and this is an action item. And so under Assembly Bill 245, it directed the task force to elect a chair at its first meeting and each odd-numbered year thereafter. To ensure continuity when the chair is unavailable, the task force is also asked to select a vice chair. So first, at this time, I'd like to open the floor for nominations for chair. Are there any nominations for chair? Council, can I make a nomination to chair? Okay, so I'd like to nominate Dr. Elizabeth Gunn as chair. Do you accept? And she accepts. Are there any other nominations? We'd like to allow for discussion at this time. We do not need a second according to our council. And so at this time, want to just make sure if there's anyone remote that has a nomination. Okay, seeing none, I think. Okay, if I could just ask for all in favor to say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Congratulations, Dr. Gunn. And so now I'd like to move and open the floor for nomination for the position of vice chair.
I'd like to nominate Dr. Tabor Griswold as vice chair.
Thank you. Dr. Griswold, do you accept that nomination?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other nominations for vice chair? Okay. Any discussion? So at this time, if we could please vote in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Thank you. Congratulations, Dr. Griswold, as vice chair.
Thank you.
So at this time, I'd like to turn to agenda item number 5 and ask Dr. Elizabeth Gunn to lead us in a conversation regarding the climate survey update. Dr. Gunn.
Hello again, Dr. Elizabeth Gunn for the record. Thank you for the opportunity to provide an overview update about the survey. I thought I would provide a brief timeline of how we arrived at the distribution of the survey, and then a little bit about the survey, the collection of data, and next steps. So beginning way back in February 2022, we began the task force with an assessment, kind of a landscape analysis of current practices across NSHE. We heard presentations from UNLV, CSN, GBC, TMCC, UNR, WNC, and Nevada State. We also heard an overview of assessment of best practices and possible survey instruments, not only within the system, but best practices across the nation. Then in April 2022, some of you may recall, we had the opportunity to hear Dr. Ronnie Dahar and Jennifer Lohman and Sarah Moody, all of UNR, regarding best practices for climate survey instruments and biennial distributions in higher education. We called upon them because they have extensive experience in this area. Dr. Dahar and colleagues are responsible for the current previous climate survey at WNC and GBC, and Dr. Lohman has overseen the climate survey instrument at UNR. In that meeting, we were presented with some ideas about how we might proceed with our first NSHE-wide survey. And there were 5 possible directions of the survey that rose to the top. 1 was identifying the extent of the problem. 2, the climate goals of sexual misconduct. 3, identifying elements for climate intervention and students' attitudes and behaviors. 4, the changes needed for better social conditions. And 5, we could have considered the data that practitioners at our institutions needed. Given that we were just at the nascent stages of designing and distributing a survey across our institutions, we went with number 1, identifying the extent of the problem, and with hopes that we can build from there. Following that meeting in summer 2022, I met with representatives from both the UNLV Cannon Survey Center and UNR's Nevada Centers for Surveys. Continuing to collaborate with Dr. Dahar at UNR Center for Surveys, Evaluations, Statistics, we discussed how we might go about building on some of the current surveys in the system, integrating best practices from national surveys, and building out a survey for our needs. In our October meeting of 2022, Dr. Dahar and I led a discussion of the next steps in that regard. That conversation centered on the basis of the survey would center on dating violence, domestic violence, gender-based harassment, violence based on sexual orientation or gender identity or expression, sexual assault, sexual harassment, stalking, or incident exposure, indecent exposure, and including a recommendation following that information. We also discussed in implementing the survey what the survey could measure, how data would be collected, and how it could be presented to the task force, and what kind of analysis the task force could expect. Dr. Griswold and I worked together throughout that time, mostly through the winter of 2022, 2023, to build that survey, refine, edit. And finally, in March 2023, we were prepared to present the survey to the task force. The task force, as the Chancellor mentioned, unanimously, after editing the survey, unanimously voted to recommend the survey to the Board of Regents. In June of this year, I presented that survey to the Board of Regents, and they unanimously approved the survey with the stipulation that it be amended to reflect the new legislation, which is AB 245. And following that, in the summer of 2023, Dr. Griswold and I once again worked with our colleagues at the UNR Survey Center to update the survey so that it corresponded to the new legislation. And I very much appreciate Dr. Griswold's expertise and input, as well as our colleagues at UNR, without whom we certainly could not have accomplished this work. As you know, we are working under the new legislation, and I thought I would highlight a couple of elements as we revised the survey that had been approved and with the stipulation that it would correspond to the new legislation. I thought I would highlight a couple of items from that legislation that are now reflected in the new iteration of the survey. Of course, we were tasked with gathering institution-specific data regarding the prevalence of gender harassment and discrimination. It was to be fair and unbiased, scientifically valid and reliable, meet the highest standards of survey research, use best practices from peer-reviewed research, and ensuring that we were consulting with the right experts, which we have on this task force. Topics in the legislation may include, without limitation, the estimated number of incidents which we are collecting, when and where alleged incidents occurred. Lots of information about students' perceptions, such as if the incident was reported, how the campus responded, information about leadership, not only within the institution, but beyond the institution, perceptions of awareness about how to refer or how to report, and so forth. We also asked students about their perception and attitudes toward power-based violence and their own experiences and the experiences of friends or others that they observe, and the responsiveness, the ability to report, the awareness of how to report, and the responsiveness of institutions when reporting. So we will be seeing that data hopefully sometime soon. The survey was distributed this fall semester, November, December, and I wanted to share with you all some of the language in the survey that specifically was updated to reflect the new legislation. So in addition to our very kind, gentle letter to students asking them, take this, they can opt out, they can decline, this is not required. We defined the terms for them a couple of times. We wanted to ensure that they were equipped with the information to best respond to the survey. Folks might be familiar with or have an idea of sexual misconduct and sexual assault, but power-based violence might be a newer term. So we defined it for students a couple of times in our letter in the introduction to the survey, and I thought I would read that here. So it says to students, more specifically, this survey deals with topics of power-based violence, sexual misconduct, and sexual assault. Power-based violence refers to any form of interpersonal violence intended to pressure, control, intimidate, or harm another person through the assertion of power over that person. This term includes, but is not limited to, dating violence, domestic violence, family violence, gender-based violence, violence based on sexual orientation or gender identity or expression, sexual assault, sexual harassment, sexual exploitation, stalking, voyeurism, observing another person engaging in sexual activity without that person's consent. Then it goes on to define sexual misconduct. Sexual misconduct is a subset of power-based violence and is broadly defined as the use of power or control to intimidate or to harass another person through unwanted intimate violence. Examples of sexual misconduct include sexual assault, intimate partner violence, and stalking. Sexual misconduct occurs in the absence of consent. And then it tells students there are questions in the survey that address sexual misconduct in greater detail. And then we go on to define for students or participants sexual assault. It is a subset of power-based violence and is defined as any sexual activity that happens without consent. And it lets them know that there will be questions that address sexual assault in greater detail. So that provided the students with an overview of those specific terms, again, in reference to AB 245. To date, there are 5,200 responses. 5,053 students gave their consent. 147 did not. So they either did not take the survey or those answers will be omitted. And then by institution, I'll read the numbers of respondents. CSN, 820, GBC, 91, Nevada State University, 88, TMCC, 184, UNLV, 2,829, UNR, 902, WNC, 49, and 237 were unanswered in whole or in part. And so our Survey Center colleagues at UNR will be vetting those for appropriateness of inclusion in the summary data. The summaries will be provided to the Board of Regents, as mentioned, within 120 days after completion of the survey. The survey closed to all participants yesterday morning at 8 a.m. our time. And with that, we'll be looking forward to the collection and presentation of the results and what we might do with those results and next steps and subsequent meetings. Thank you.
Dr. Gunn, thank you so much. That was a very thorough overview and update. So we appreciate that, especially for some of the new members, particularly on that timeline. At this time, I'd like to open to see if there are any questions for Dr. Gunn or any comments at this time. Dr. Coleman.
Good morning again. Stephanie Coleman for the record. I noticed that there wasn't a definition for consent. Is there a reason why the task force felt that didn't need to be unpacked a little bit more for students to understand the importance of consent?
Thank you, Elizabeth Gunn. Thank you for the question. It might be in the context of the survey questions. I would have to review the survey question by question to see when that term is introduced, if there's a definition. I don't recall specifically from our March meeting that the task force discussed that, but that doesn't mean it's not there, and I don't believe it would have been a purposeful omission, maybe just the understanding that the definition would be understood, but that certainly might not have been the case. But I think it's a relevant question for discussion as we go forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for Dr. Gunn or comments regarding the survey instrument and that distribution? Okay, thank you. Seeing none, thank you again. And we're looking forward to getting the results at our upcoming meeting. So next I'd like to move to agenda item number 6, which is the meeting schedule. The task force must meet at least once each quarter. And so to begin the discussion of coordination of scheduling our future meetings, I would like to seek the task force's input on the idea to authorize the chair and the vice chair to work with system administration and system computing services staff to coordinate the specific meeting dates to ensure that we have a meeting space and logistical and technical support or any other ideas related to our meeting schedule. So at this time, I'd like to open the floor for discussion or input regarding that recommendation. And that, again, would be to authorize the chair and the vice chair to work with system admin and system computing on developing that schedule. Okay, seeing no discussion or input, would like to, this is an action item so that we could assign that task to the chair and the vice chair. So would there be someone who would like to make a motion?
I'll go ahead and put the motion forward.
All right, thank you. Dr. Coleman has motioned that approval to authorize the chair and the vice chair. Is there a second?
This is Kavita Batra for records. I second that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Batra. I appreciate that. Is there any further discussion? Okay, so I just want to restate the motion for the record, that the motion is that the task force is authorizing the chair and the vice chair to work with system administration and system computing staff to coordinate the specific meeting dates to ensure that we have a meeting space and logistical and technical support or other ideas to meet our requirement to meet quarterly. So all those in favor, please say yes. Yes. All opposed?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. All those opposed say no. Okay, with that, the motion passes. So thank you so much. Now I'd like to move to agenda item number 7, which is new business. New business is a time for presenting your ideas and input for issues and matters that you would like included on a future agenda. To comply with the Nevada open meeting law, we need to make sure that any comments here are limited to the description and clarification of the subject matter of the item, which may include the reasons for your request, but no substantive discussion may occur at this meeting on new business items. At this time, I would ask the members, are there any suggestions for future agenda items? Okay, thank you. Seeing none, appreciate that. And at this time, we are going to move to agenda item number 8, which is public comment. And this is the last agenda item to provide public comment. So again, members of the public are again invited to provide public comment to the task force. Your comments may be prohibited if the content of that comment is a topic that is not relevant to or within the authority of the task force, or if the content is willfully disruptive of the meeting by being irrelevant, repetitious, slanderous, offensive, inflammatory, irrational, or amounting to a personal attack or interfering with the rights of other speakers. As a reminder, during this agenda item, no action may be taken on any matter raised until it is included on an agenda as an item in which action may be taken. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person. Persons providing public comment are asked to begin by stating their name and spelling their last name for the record. At this time, is there any public comment in Reno?
There is no public comment in Reno.
Thank you. As there is no public comment here in Las Vegas, SCS, are there any callers on the public comment call-in number?
Not at this time.
Thank you. And finally, is there any public comment on the online portal? Okay. So that will conclude our public comment at this time. And with that, I'd like to thank everyone, and our meeting is adjourned. Enjoy this short meeting. I don't think we're going to enjoy short meetings of this nature in the future, so we have a lot of work to do. So I want to thank everyone so much for your time, and just a little point of privilege, wishing you all a very happy new year and a safe one as well. Let's bring in 2024. Thank you so much. The meeting is adjourned.